Hey guys, Ben BigStuff here. So on today's Gen 4 version 2.5 firmware update training video, we're going to talk about a couple of inputs we have freed up on the ECU to be available for scaling, as well as how we've added the Rife high air temperature sensor to the base calibration as well. So first off, let's talk about the Rife high air temperature sensors. So if I come over here to the system menu and I go to hardware configuration, you'll see over here down where it says air temperature sensor type or oil temperature sensor type, you can now choose between standard GM scaling, or you can choose between the Rife. So if I see over here, this current reading is showing 80.7. That is a standard GM sensor. But if I click on the Rife, you'll see it just goes way too high. But that's okay. It's set up for a GM sensor. If you had the Rife higher temperature sensor, it would now be scaled directly for the Rife. Just plug and play, hook up the Rife, and you're good to go. If I put it back to GM, it'll come back to the GM scaling. It'll go right back to where it's supposed to be. We have an oil temperature sensor located on the header 2 side. You, again, can use our standard GM scaling if you want, or you can get the Rife sensor as well, and you will now be able to use that for the Rife if you do not want to use it for oil temperature. Again, oil temperature is just our default name. If you wanted to use this Rife high air or high temperature sensor for any other application, if you wanted to, you could use that as well. Okay. We've also freed up a couple of our inputs for use. So if I come over here to System and I go to Pin Configuration, before there was a value here called Remote Accelerometer. Well, we have made this available. The Remote Accelerometer verbiage is gone. We've now changed this input so it's available to be used as any 0 to 5 volt DC input. So this remote pressure is just simply our default name. You can click 84 if you'd like for analog data 4, or you can just simply change this name to whatever it is you want it to use. Again, this is header 2 pin A1. This is a 0 to 5 volt DC input. This is just telling you the available analog inputs that are listed here, okay, in this column. Again, all these are just standard factory names. You can change any of these pins to be whatever it is you want. And if I close this out, I'm going to go to System, Pressure, and Sensor Configuration. Now you're going to come over here and you'll see that remote pressure name. Again, that name can be anything you want. Here's where you'll actually adjust the scaling for that input, okay, 0 to 500, in this case 4.5 to 1/2. Just one more available input for you to be able to use instead of before it was this remote accelerometer that wasn't being used on our system. Okay, so that was header 2 pin A1. Then what we also did here was before our pan vacuum sensor, which is on header 2 pin X3, this was just a hard-coded 2-bar map sensor. So now what we've done is we made that be able to do, or to be able to be anything that you want on the system. So if you still want to use as a map sensor or as a 2-bar map sensor for your crankcase vacuum, that way for guys with a vacuum pump, you can read vacuum, but engine starts to pressurize, it'll go up to 15 PSI. You can totally use it. This will work fine. You can leave it as PanVac is the standard name, where you can put your own name in there for whoever you wanted to call it. You can also click on Other now, and you can name this again whatever you want, and then change the scaling to be whatever it is you want based on this 0.5 to 4.5 volt input scaling. Okay, so again, just freeze it up. You don't have to run a 2-bar map sensor if you don't want. Okay, just gives you the ability to have one more 0 to 5 volt pressure sensor, anything 0 to 5 volt base in the system. So in effect, we've opened up 2 more inputs for available for use on the system. Okay. One more quick note is here on these filter time constants, you want to leave these about 250. Basically what that is a sampling rate. We recommend 250 as the default number for you. You'll see here in my calibration, I've got some different numbers. That's just because I'm doing testing here in the office on different features inside our calibrations. But your apps out there should all be set for around 250. If you are lowering them, you're going to be slowing down basically the filter rate of those values. So you really shouldn't have to do that. Leave them around 250. That way you get all the data for all those inputs and you should be good to go. So again, these updates apply to version 2.5 firmware for the PanVac sensor and that remote pressure sensor. Okay, you will not have these available if you're on a previous firmware. Also on our website, if you look, we on the Gen 4 tech section, we do have this input matrix available for download. And basically what this does is on the ECU itself, okay, this is just the ECU as far as the header connectors. We talk about every available input that is there and available for use and the pins that they reside on, okay? So on the header 1 side, you can see here that we have header 1A2 is the map sensor. Header 1B1 is a TPS signal. Those are actually 5-volt sensors. Those are 5-volt output. And as the resistance changes, that voltage changes, and that gives us actually our signal back, okay? So you can see here that on the C1 here, that's coolant temperature, okay? That's a standard GM scaling. But over here on D1, that's our air temperature sensor that you can choose to either be the RIFE or a GM sensor, okay? Everything over here on the right, on this side, okay, this is everything on the header 2 side. So you'll see here, A1 is that remote pressure or any external 0 to 5 volt DC sensor. B1 is a digital input. And again, we have a legend down here in the lower left-hand corner that talks about what color is. So the orange is going to be a 0 to 5 volt DC input. The yellow is going to be a digital input. The green indicates a turbo shaft speed, which are Hall effect sensors. So by all means, go ahead and use this spreadsheet to map out your system. This is very helpful to go and actually pin everything accordingly to where you want it to go. And again, all these are just simply just universal names of anything that you want to apply to it. Just got to remember that if you have an ECU that is built before January 1st of 2026, we'd have to get it back in to get these digital inputs to read correctly. If it was built before then, they just didn't have the resistors on them, send them back to us, we'll add the resistors, and these inputs will be available for use for you. Okay, so that's this input matrix is available under the Gen 4 tech section. At the very bottom, log into the web page on the left-hand side, there's a bunch of tech pages, tech notes. You'll see it right here. It'll be this spreadsheet that you can actually download. Okay. Any questions on any of this stuff, by all means, give us a shout at support@bigstufftpm.com. Check out our website, bigstufftpm.com. All the stuff's available in the Gen 4 tech section. Also, be sure to check out our socials on Facebook and Instagram. And we appreciate your support, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you.